Artificial intelligence is a discipline that it was here for quite some time, but only in the recent years it took a considerable lead, and now it is everywhere and everybody is talking about it. The most common definition would be that artificial intelligence is a discipline concerned with giving machines the ability to learn and solve problems or take decisions. So it's this unique capacity of learning from its mistakes and continuously improving itself that makes it so innovative. The development of artificial intelligence is closely related to those in computer science and how computers appeared and developed to the point of being able to perform complex tasks. From very early on, humans developed all sorts of computing devices in order to deal with complex aspects of their ever-changing world. So, for example, from the beginning, where they needed a system that could count and better keep track of their increasing number of population and animals, to the Industrial Revolution and Industrial Era, where the complexity of the world, the bureaucracy and data drove the need for automation and computation. Now, the idea that machines could think or solve problems that were destined to humans appears and develops in the 1940s to 1960s, accentuated by the technologies used in World War II. And the beginning of artificial intelligence is considered to be the Summer Research School in Dartmouth in 1956, where the AI principle was conceptualized by John McCarthy, Alan Newell, Herbert Simon, Martin Minsky, and Arthur Samuel. And before that, John von Neumann and Alan Turing developed the technologies behind the artificial intelligence. Now, in that pioneering period, there were two camps, more precisely two approaches, one based on rules and one based on neural networks. The first one, they were trying to teach a computer to think by coding a series of logical rules. If X, then Y. However, if this worked for more simple or precise problems, it didn't work for more complex ones. And in order to make the software more applicable to real-world problems, the rule-based camp, also called symbolic systems or expert systems, they were interviewing experts on the problem, encode the wisdom in decision-making process, hence the name expert systems. The second camp took a different approach, and instead of trying to teach a computer the rules, they tried to replicate the human brain in what is it called neural networks. After the first achievements in the field, the discipline experienced periods of ups and downs in the following years, and this had several causes, such as unfulfilled promises of AI researchers, high public expectations generated by the sometimes exaggerated promises of AI specialists. It was caused by financial obstacles, but since 2010 the discipline experienced a boom, and this was due to the new technologies of big data, to newer computer with a more computing power, and to advanced techniques of machine learning. Now, in regards with the notion of artificial intelligence, there is no generally accepted definition in the specialized literature, and this is due to its numerous forms of existence and its accelerated development. Moreover, the concept of artificial intelligence was frequently contested. Herbert Simon, one of the founders of artificial intelligence, believed that once a machine could defeat the best chess player, it would have reached the essence of human intelligence. And in 1997, when Deep Blue defeated Kasparov at chess, it seemed like artificial intelligence reached human-like intelligence. However, some contested that This should not be called intelligence, as it has nothing to do with intelligence as we know it. In fact, the chess program does not know he is smarter than a player. He actually does not know he plays something called chess. He is actually just good at it. And that is not intelligence. It is just a high computational power. It is a set of mathematical calculations that allows the machine to learn, to perform tasks that were only designated to humans. That's why the notion has been contested, and some prefer to call it advanced computing, algorithmic computing. In fact, the notions of computers and intelligence are closely related. In the 17th and 18th centuries, during the Enlightenment, the capacity for mental calculation was considered a sign of a brilliant intellect, and the great thinkers were seen as skilled computers. This mentality changed in the 20th century when calculation was no longer the distinctive sign of a genius, but it was looked down upon and seen as a mechanical and intelligent task, because in the meantime it became the prerogative of unskilled labor, and it was assigned and done by unskilled labor, like women. The Manhattan Project, where the atomic bomb was built in the 40s, relied on human computers, mostly women, poorly paid, who repeatedly performed the same calculations, like raising a number to the third power and transmitting the result to another person who would then enter it into another calculation. The low prestige of computing also explains why informatics, unlike the rest of engineering, became a field available to women. At the beginning of the 80s, almost 40% of the American computer science graduates were women. However, when personal computers were accessible and their possession was considered prestigious, they were advertised more among men because they were more likely to play games, and their parents were more likely to buy them for them. Since then, the presence of women in the informatics departments decreased considerably. Another factor that could have driven women away is that informatics evolved from something insignificant to something highly paid. That's why we see today the leaders of big technology companies are almost men and highly paid. So we can see from all we've said before that artificial intelligence is a field that it's not exempt from controversies, and that is because it is something that is powered by technologies, but it has a human impact, and it operates in a social technological way. So it's not that it feels and thinks like us, but it has the power and tools to process the information and take decisions. So at the end, it doesn't mean that we have to blindly trust the technology, or at the opposite, reject it because of mistrust. But we have to understand what artificial intelligence is, what it can do, and how it is used. So among the technologies within the artificial intelligence, we have the machine learning, who is a program that uses data to train a model to make predictions. And we have supervised machine learning or unsupervised machine learning. Deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning, which uses neural networks and is capable of processing large amounts of data and identify patterns within this data. We have large language models and natural language processing. So, as we can see, artificial intelligence can take different forms, from narrow systems designed to excel at specific tasks to more complex models with capabilities that, in certain ways, surpass those of humans. While we didn't dive deeply into the technical aspects of these technologies, I hope this overview gives you a clearer sense of what artificial intelligence is. Thank you for joining me into this introductory journey into AI, and I see you in the next one.